You like runs? They got a lot of runs in this game. The box score is busy. I think Ricky went off his sheet. So did Ben there as the Phillies absolutely destroy the Marlins. It was not even close. Welcome you here to Phillies Postgame Live, brought to you by Cure Auto Insurance. Amy Fiddle, Ricky Vitalico, and Ben Davis. And Zack Wheeler pitched to Jim. Everybody pretty much got a hit. I think I actually may have gotten a single in this game because it was just a carousel of offense.
You might as well have, because I mean the Phillies had 10 extra base hits. It wasn't close by any stretch of the imagination. The Phillies are a much better baseball team in general than this team that we saw in the Marlins right now. This is not the Marlins from earlier on the season. I don't know who they are. But anyways, you know what? The Phillies got it going. Here's just a little thing that Michael Barca and I were joking about a couple of games ago. The Phillies sent 8 hitters. Those are the first 2 innings to the plate. 8 hitters and 8 hitters. Mm-hmm. Third inning was 4, so it leveled off, and then 4 in the fourth. Then 7, then 8 again. I mean, just think about that.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, they're taking batting practice against the Marlins. That's exactly it's exactly what it looks like. The only thing I got out of this is that Zack Wheeler looked pretty crisp.
And that's what you want. Speaking of batting practice, season high in runs with 16, season high in hits with 22. Ever seen a game like this, Ben?
No, I have not. And the other thing that we were discussing during the game, 11 for 19 with runners in scoring position. 11 for 19. I have never seen numbers that high. But yes, they got a lot of hits, but I was impressed with the approach. A lot of hits the opposite way. The first inning alone, everyone's hitting singles the opposite way, staying up the middle. So the approach was there. I obviously added to it with a couple of long balls with Turner and Schwarber. Schwarber's on a different planet right now. But it was just a good all-around win. I know it didn't impress a whole lot of people.
It wasn't impressive. It was, I mean, how do you...
I thought it was.
I mean, impressive by ways of, did the Phillies hit the baseball around the ballpark? Yes, they did. Let me put it this way. If they would have kept their starting hitters in there, they'd go over 30 hits.
Yeah, that's the thing. The box score is crazy because...
But should that be right in a major league game?
No, this definitely looked like maybe a single A
there you go.
Type of vibe from the Marlins. You mentioned it. They've been depleted. It was... Listen,
the Phillies did what they were supposed to do to a lesser team.
Yeah, you gotta win. Let's go back down at 2 South Beach and check in with Ruben Amaro Jr. And this one was a fun game to call because there was a lot of action if it wasn't maybe against the stiffest competition. But Ruben, as Ricky just said, you have to beat the teams. This is clearly a cellar-dwelling Marlins team, and the Phillies ran roughshod all over them.
Yeah, there's no question about it, Amy, that this is a team that's in transition. They've made a ton of changes. Most of these players are coming off waiver claims or coming from trades, and they're obviously rebuilding, trying to find out who can stick on this ball club in the future, not for this year, but for next year. And, obviously the Phillies took advantage of it. Now, the fact that Edward Cabrera was not able to pitch tonight, that's a big deal. Because he's a pretty darn good young pitcher here for the Marlins, and they've had their problems with either health and or trading their pitchers, so they don't have a whole lot of starting pitching depth. And having lost him right out of the chute and having to throw Austin Kitchen in there to replace him, and the Phillies did take a great approach. Ben, you were right. For them to not really know this guy very well and to take the kind of approach that they took, which was to drive the ball the other way, use the middle of the field. A lot of the hits in the early part of the game were just base hits and putting together some good at-bats. And that's a good sign. Again, not a great pitching staff, but they did their job, and they got to win baseball games. And you got to give a lot of credit to Zack Wheeler, because he got into it's very easy for him to just go out there and just kind of go through the motions, knowing that he's got this kind of cushion. But he went out there and dealt. That fastball was electric. He was using that sinker really, really well. Didn't have to use a ton of breaking pitches because his fastball was really crisp. And you got to give him a lot of credit for staying with it and concentrating and doing what he needed to do to get through those 6 innings. Yeah, it's interesting. I've always felt like if there should be some level of floor as far as how much spending you should have, and I always believed in giving your fans a real opportunity to cheer for something, to have hope in some way, shape, or form. I think Bud Selig used to talk about that at the beginning of every season. Every time we had a GM meeting, he used to talk about wanting to have each team, all 30 of the teams or however many teams are in the league, to have actual hope to be able to have some level of success And clearly that's not happening with this organization. Remember, this team last year was in the playoffs. I mean, I think Kim Ng did a heck of a job with this organization. They did not want to extend her past 1 year. She decided to bail and left the organization, and they put Peter Bendix in there. And I guess, you know, he comes from an organization where, you know, he's kind of used to rebuilding or what have you. But I mean, I think they've added some talent to this organization, but it's going to be a long time before I think South Florida's going to have somebody. It's going to be a long time before South Florida is going to have somebody to really cheer for, because I think many of this talent that they just acquired is most of it is probably down in the minor leagues.
Yeah, we've seen him do it before as far as loading up and then reloading, but this is a joke. Quite the display. We got 2 more down there in Miami, and that's what we'll see you tomorrow, Ruben. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Well, let's check out these NL East standings. There are those Marlins hanging out. They got 52 wins. It seems kind of...
You mean the bottom feeders, Amy?
Plausible when we watch that. So the Phillies now 8 games clear still, because both the Mets and the Braves won. The Mets actually walked it off on a home run, so they have 8-game cushion still right there. That is for the division, but the good news is the magic number down to 14. Let's check out the best records in the National League. They do gain a half a game because the Dodgers are playing the Guardians right now in LA. That is in the bottom of the first. So they have a half-game lead on the best record in all of the National League. Of course, they own the tiebreaker with the Dodgers. So if it does come down to that, they would be the top seed in this one. And really, when you're playing a team like the Marlins, you want to get the win out of the way, but you're focusing on that bigger prize, and that is all about October. We got the news earlier today about Alec Boehm. You're trying to get this team healthy. When you're watching a game like this, can you take anything away from that, Ricky or Ben, you're going forward?
I'd be a stat rat. Hot knife through butter all the way through this lineup. That didn't happen. Seemed as though he got a little off his game when JT left the game. I know he's really good with JT Realmuto behind the plate, and that might have frazzled him a little bit. That's the only thing that got him off his game tonight was JT coming out of the ball game.
67% fastballs tonight. 67, whether that be the 4-seamer or the 2-seamer, he was able to speed them up. Then the Marlins hitter started to cheat a little bit. That's why he saw those swings and misses on the sweeper in the dirt. He was very good at the top of the zone with the 4-seamer, that's for sure.
Ricky, you mentioned it. JT Realmuto got hit in the second inning. He stayed in, caught the third, and then left after that. Rob Thomson saying after the game that it was just a bruise, just precautionary. He was already scheduled to not catch tomorrow. It was already going to be Garrett Stubbs, so there's nothing really to worry about there. In a game where you have 22 hits and 16 runs, I think there's not a whole lot to worry about.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. I mean, I just got a couple facts that I wrote down that are interesting to me. 7 players had multi-hits.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Everybody in the starting lineup had a hit for the Phillies. 5 players had multiple runs scored in this game, and 6 players had multiple RBIs in this game. Just think about that. I mean, think about that clubhouse right now. They're happier than a pig in its sty. I could have gone somewhere else, but I didn't. But
very well done. It's a family program.
Family program.
You have to love that. I mean, those guys in the clubhouse right now, or on their way to the bar or wherever they're going right now, they probably got a nice Yangling lager in them right now.
That'll be coming up later in our show.
Yeah, sure.
Runners of scoring position, 11 for 19.
Is that it?
Never seen anything quite like that.
Can't hit with anybody on base.
It's amazing. Well, it is Marlins. You can't play them every day, but they do get 2 more. Let's check in with Zack Wheeler after his night in Miami.
It's not every start that you sit through a lengthy top of the first and then a lengthy top of the second. Anything different about, kind of trying to stay sharp or stay ready and, sit through those long games?
Those type of games are tough. But, at the same time, we got to go out there and pitch and do well, and just got to figure it out. So, it's just throwing the ball against the wall a couple different times, a low weighted ball, and just trying to keep my arm nice and loose. But I'll take all the run support I can get.
How did it feel for you out there on the mound overall?
Felt good. Long delays, maybe a little rusty right at first, but just like I said, you got to work through them. And I felt like I was making most of my pitches, and off-speed stuff was good today. So overall, it was good.
Is it good to have? Rob was saying, look, I could have sent him out for the 7th, but why, right? Is it good this time of year to maybe have one like that?
Sure. This time of year, throughout the year, sometimes you need those types of starts, and you know, it's ultimately Rob's call, and he made it, so I was fine with it.
What's it like seeing I mean, obviously you enjoy when you have some runs on the board for you, but what's it like seeing the guys out there kind of delivering in that way?
Yeah, it's encouraging, and you know, these games are important going down the stretch, and you know, anytime we can put up this many runs, it's a good thing. So you know, just winning ball games, winning series, and just trying to get to where we're going. Yeah, it mean a lot. You know, there's some good competition that I'm going up against, but you know, at the same time, I'm just trying to go out there and just put up zeros and hope for the best. That's all I can do. So, you know, just trying to go out there and compete every time, and ultimately put our team in a spot to win.
Sounds like JT's okay, but I mean, you know, I know you guys haven't clinched anything yet, but you know, it's looking good. I mean, you kind of hold your breath sometimes that everyone kind of gets through this month
for sure,
as healthy as possible.
For sure. You know, especially when we come here after, like, you know, crazy things happen, but you know, hopefully he's all right, and we can just continue to keep moving forward.
So here's the box score, and it's a busy one. As we mentioned, it's season high 16 runs, season high 22 hits, 7 players with multi-hit games. You can see how many guys also had 3-hit games right there. 4 guys, Trea Turner, Bryce Harper, Cody Clemens, and Johan Rojas, all with 3 hits. And you mentioned it, Rojas with 3 doubles as well. So you can see that's how that cookie crumbled. We saw that JT Realmuto was in this game. I mentioned it earlier. He left the game after getting hit by a pitch. He did stay in the third, but then he left, and he is expected to have a day off. But let's get an update from Rob Thomson.
Fine. We'll check him out tomorrow. That's a contusion to the left knee, and Stubby's playing tomorrow anyway, so that was planned. So it'll be good for the day off.
How do you like what you saw from Wheeler today?
He was good. You know, command was really good. A lot of strikes, build up strike zone. Secondary pitch, they really shouldn't have given up a run. And, you know, the ball's a bag there. Unfortunate, but he really pitched well. And he should have gotten more, but I mean, it was kind of silly to run him out for a 7th inning, and without the weights, the production from the bottom of the lineup was very impressive. Yeah, those guys, you know, Rojas 3 doubles. Just everybody, you know, everybody in the lineup had a base hit. Big night from Turner, Harper, Clemens, and Rojas. Yeah, it was just a really good offensive night, and fought a lot of pitches.
You know, Turner and Schwarber homer, but yeah, you had to kind of like the first day, right? You know, the other bunch of key sets.
Yeah, where the score is. Yeah. You know, Schwarber gets on the air. Turner base hit. Harper was another way for a base hit. JT base hit. Yeah, it was good. Really good game. We executed to the certain places where Martin's at second and third, and fly ball, get him out of the man. You know, that's that thing. So the fundamentals were really good for that.
But for me, when you take a good look at this last week, they went up to Toronto and they started hitting the baseball. I think there's just a little bit of a carryover. You know, if Edwards were to pitch today, there's a good chance he would have gotten rocked too. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you get everybody kind of going, you know, and everybody on the same page. It's tough to stop a big rock rolling down a hill. You know?
They were absolutely steamrolling through this. Trea Turner, especially 3 for 5, had that home run in just a triple, short of the cycle. Here he is in the clubhouse.
He obviously went deep, and Schwarber went deep, but I mean, did you kind of like that first inning where you guys were able to string together some hits and jump out to the big lead?
Yeah, I think getting out early is always good, obviously, but you know, for me, I just like every inning. It felt like we had guys on base and good at bats by everybody. So sometimes you can't control all those things, but when you're kind of relentless and competing the entire game, I think that's really good, and thought we did a good job of that today.
What's it like having guys from top to bottom just repeatedly getting on base, keeping the order going?
Yeah, I think that's what makes us really good. You know, Cody's had some great at-bats. Rowe hit the ball really well today. I think he had 3 doubles. You know, not only are they hitting the ball well. They're driving the ball to all fields, scoring runs. They're kind of doing a little bit of everything. And, you know, obviously we got a good top of the order and whatnot, but when, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are just as dangerous, that makes it really tough on those guys over there. So, you know, it's something we take pride in, and I think you know, the guys are doing a really good job.
Is there any adjustment with the late scratch?
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely had our minds on Cabrera, and just I think you know, going from righty to lefty was kind of the biggest adjustment. You know, you game plan, kind of write the lineup for that, and then, you know, 2 hours before the game, you know, that all changes. So there's a little adjustment there, but you know, when you kind of take that pressure off in the first inning, I think kind of relieves that a little bit.
Sounds like JT's okay, but you know, given the fact that the playoffs look pretty likely here, I mean, do you kind of hold your breath and just sort of wish everybody gets through the month all right?
For sure. I think, you know, this time of year, obviously we still have some work to do, but like you said, the playoffs look pretty good as long as we take care of business, and that's kind of the biggest goal in the next, you know, 25 days or so is just keep everybody healthy. And sometimes you can't avoid stuff like that. It's not always good to think like that, but you know, I think that's kind of in the back of our minds a little bit, and really probably a lot of teams, but you want to get through the rest of this month healthy and have a good shot at that postseason. So hopefully he's good, and we get good news or tomorrow, you know, feels better, and hopefully that's all taken care of.
What's it